Yep, you're good, Charlie, for that, yeah. All right, mea noa tātou, e te atua, tēnei ai, tēnei mātou, e mema kua pauti te hapore o Wanganui. Arahina I a mātou ki te whakatau ngā whakataunga pai mō te rohi, mō ngā tangata katoa, kia piki ai te ora o te hapore, me ngā iwi katoa he Whanganui, home air, hui air, taiki air. Let us pray, dear God. Here I am, here we are, your elected members of Wanganui. Guide us to make good decisions for the district, for all people to uplift the community and all peoples of Wanganui. Bring forth unity, it is done. So welcome to this extraordinary council meeting to cover off the adoption of council's annual report for year ended 30 June 2023. We have two apologies, one from Councillor Glenda Brown and one from Councillor Kate Joblin. We have Councillor Charlie Duncan on Zoom. Charlie Duncan, it's a guy that I used to go to school with, so it's a bit sad, isn't it? Councillor Charlie Anderson online. I like to move that the council accepts the apology of Councillor Kate Joblin and Councillor Glenda Brown. All those in favour? Aye. All those against? Motion is carried. All right. So, any declarations of interest? Right. None. Thank you.
Before we go into the report, is there a motion to receive additional information?
Sure. Yep. So a motion here to that the council that the following additional information is tabled with item 5.1, updated version of the annual report, 31/10/23. All those in favour? Oh, mover and a seconder. I'll have Josh move.
Can I just ask one question, please, for clarity? So this is a recent update, is it? Or when did that go into our...
About 11 o'clock.
Today. So we haven't seen whatever's updated. Well, I certainly, because I did my homework a couple of days ago.
There's no material changes.
Okay.
And the office will be able to speak to it, so it's very minor.
Yeah.
That's excellent, thank you.
No, I was going to say, what I noticed was nothing much. So, all right, so we've got a mover and a seconder. So I'll put the motion on the screen. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. All right. Okay, so the report to the council. So welcome Simon to the table, and I think Chris, you'll follow. So welcome Chris Webby as well online there. Welcome Chris. So Simon, I'll pass over to you to...
Good afternoon all. I'm pleased to present to you the annual report for the 22-23 financial year from 1 July 22 to 30 June 23. So apologies for the late item this morning. We're still working frantically on it with our auditors and made some minor changes this morning, materially correct to what you received on Friday afternoon. There were some minor accounting adjustments, mostly to the group accounts, to do with consolidation. The information that you've got, the page numbers should be fairly consistent, and the information will be fairly up to date. We just wanted to make sure that we got the final, most up to date version in front of you to adopt. So the annual report is prepared under the International Public Sector Accounting Standards, a fairly significant piece of work, and it involves the consolidation of our group, being Holdings, Wanganui and Partners, the Wanganui Port Limited Partnership, Sargent Gallery Trust, and yeah, I think that's most of it. So there's been the reports and the information in the annual report is fairly consistent with the annual report, the financial reports for the year end that were previously presented to the Operations Committee. So the actual accounting, the numbers and the service performance things are fairly consistent with what you've previously seen. Throughout the process of preparing the annual report, we've had some fairly large changes in a couple of accounting standards, reasonably technical, but it's taken a bit of work to work through. We've also done a revaluation of our roading network this year, which has also created a little bit of extra work on us. The new water regulator, Taumata Arawai, the changes in the performance measure changed on 1 January, which has also caused a little bit of extra disclosures and things like that. I have to draw your attention to, which we've mentioned in the item, to the misstatement. We'll receive a qualified audit opinion to do with the water measures. The qualification is related to the way in that we've collected the data and recorded complaints on the network, not to do with how we have responded to the complaints. So it's for example, one of the things is if we've received a complaint overnight, our recording has been recorded from the time that we entered it into our system, which was in the morning rather than at the time the complaint was received. Also, if we've received multiple complaints for the same issue, then they've been recorded as one complaint rather than the multiple complaints that have been done. So during the process of working through that with the auditors, we've improved our processes for reporting for next year. In the agenda, there's a copy of a letter of representation to you as councillors. As part of adoption of the annual report, you as councillors need to provide a letter of representation to Audit New Zealand to say that the financial statements are fairly and materially correct and compliance with generally accepted accounting principles, that the statement of service provisions are also fairly and materially correct, that we have a going concern, and so we have provided in the agenda a undertaking to you as councillors from management that we have prepared that, so to give you some comfort in signing to the councillors. The version is currently unsigned, but we're happy to provide a signed version of that if you wish. And last of all, before I ask Chris to speak, I'd just like to acknowledge the hard work and energy put into it by the finance and policy teams, specifically Lane, who's over behind me, and Louise, who've lived and breathed this document for the last 3 or 4 months. So, over to you, Chris.
Great, thank you very much, Simon. And so, Chris, might be worthwhile just, I've met you a couple of times, but maybe some of the others haven't. So, Chris Webby from Audit New Zealand. It'd be great if you could just briefly introduce yourself and make yourself known to the councillors, and look forward to hearing from you.
Okay. Hi. So I'm Chris Webby. I'm the appointed auditor for Wanganui District Council. I've been auditing for about 15 years. I've done numerous councils, and I'm based in Palmerston North, originally from Taranaki, and my dad's side is from Wanganui. First of all, I'd like to thank council management for allowing this meeting to happen today. I know it was scheduled for last week, but it was just not there, so I appreciate that you're able to find the time today to adopt your annual report. Definitely want to put out a message to management and finance. It's been a huge amount of work this year. The last 3 years, the stat deadline has been pushed back 2 months to the end of December. This year, it's back to normal times, so that's just really meant that finance has had 2 months less to prepare this. So it's a big challenge, and I've done well. And also, Simon mentioned the new accounting standards. So IPSAS 41, and then the bigger one was FRS 48, and that's to do with the service performance. So I'm happy to say that I'm satisfied that the annual report complies with the new accounting standards. There are some key areas of focus for our audit this year. Simon briefly mentioned part of them. One of them was the evaluation of roading. That's a big piece of work, and we are satisfied that the roading is materially stated in the annual report. The drinking water performance. So this year, as Simon mentioned, the first half was under old rules, and the new rules were from 1 Jan to 30th June. So you'll see in the annual report under the water group activity that you'll see the measure with these new standards. So no issues there. Just around the opinion, Simon briefly mentioned it. So it relates to DIA measures around complaints and response times. So there's just nothing that we could do in our audit work to gain assurance over completeness. So since we're not able to gain assurance over completeness, we weren't able to give a clean audit opinion. This is common as well. You're not the first council who has had this opinion impact. There's quite a few councils around that has the same impact. And also you'll see in the opinion, there's an emphasis matter just around the waters reform. So that is common for all councils that deal with water. So all that is doing is just referring the reader to your note disclosure. And also just with the regards to the letter of representation, there'll just be an unadjusted misstatement of around about $429,000 that was just included on it. And that just relates to transactions for the Wanganui General Partner Limited. This is not material and does not impact the audit in any way. And at the moment, it just shows that the group revenue and expenditure is just overstated by about $429,000. I'm happy to take any questions if there is any.
Great, thank you very much, Chris. And I can only imagine 211 pages of annual report, and with all the changes that have happened, particularly around the valuation of roading and drinking water performance. I just want to start before we get to questions to say thank you to those involved. I'm not going to go through names because you always miss someone out, but thank you very much, and we'll get to thank you again soon. But any questions from anyone? No questions. Okay. All right. So no further questions. I propose that we move the recommendation on the screen that the Council A, adopts the annual report for the year ended 30 June 2023, and B, provides an audit letter of representation to Audit New Zealand. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Peter, and a seconder, Councillor Jenny. All right, so are there any comments on this item? What's the comments? What's that, sorry? Oh, yeah, okay, cool. Councillor...
Sorry, did I miss questions?
Yes.
Yeah, you did.
An extensive wait.
I gave it a good 20-second pause, and
Well, I'll have to
you might have to make your comment a question or somehow. I'm not sure how you do that. I'll just go from the top of the list here. Councillor Jenny.
Thank you, Mayor Andrew. First of all, I'd like to comment on the qualification of our financials, and to me, I think it's quite a big yawn. I think it's that minor, so it's of no concern to me. I do appreciate the huge amount of work that's gone on with the team. I know that you've been tied down with this for a long time, especially Lane and Louise, but I know that you haven't been doing it in isolation. So you probably get a lot of thank yous today, but I'd like to add mine to that, because you know, this is a hefty piece of work, and it's not straightforward, and we very much appreciate the work that you've put in that's got it to such a stellar state. And then the audits themselves. Audits are essential. I absolutely know that. So I am not challenging the fact that we've been audited. But what I am doing is I'm highlighting that I think the law of diminishing returns is well and truly set in, and that the cost of the audit, the tie-up of our team doing the work required to meet such stringent audit standards, and the benefit to our community is completely out of sync. I do not in any way point the finger at the team, the audit team that have audited our accounts. I think, you know, you have to do what you have to do, and I totally appreciate that. However, I just want to really flag, I just think it's gone too far. I think we audit far, far, far too much intricate detail to the nth degree, to absolutely no benefit to our community whatsoever. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Rob.
Yeah, thank you. Well, since I missed questions, perhaps I'll raise a couple of issues here, which the Chief Executive or the Finance Manager may respond to. I have raised these questions before, Your Worship, to the officers, so they are aware of what I was talking about. First of all, on page 143 of the report, I wanted some explanation about the personnel budget. And the personnel budget was an increase of 5.53% on the previous year, but the group was 12.17% increase, and I wanted an explanation of why the group was so much more and quite high. And the other issue I wanted to raise was the page 167, the contractors and consultancy. Contractors increased by 25.72%, 4.9 million, and consultancy up 10.82%, up 298,000. I am still a little confused what the difference is between a contractor and a consultancy, so someone may care to answer that, and to give some answers for those expenditures.
Great, thank you. Obviously, we're not in question time, so those will have to be taken offline. Councillor Peter.
Yes, and thank you through the chair. My first comment was that there were no questions, so obviously everybody did a fabulous job. So I won't go into all the thank yous, but yeah, it stands that no questions is a good comment. Secondly, I would just like to reiterate Jenny's thoughts and my own as well. So thank you, Jenny.
Great. And Deputy Mayor Helen.
Thank you. Thank you for the report. It is a really good report for the community to look at and get a snapshot of council on the work that they do and what's happened in the community, and also the measurements against where we've set targets and how we're achieving against that. And so, for example, in the roading area, it shows that we have a target of about 80%, I think, for the quality of the roading, and we haven't quite met that target. And there's an explanation there on why, which is largely increasing costs, etc. So, that's just an example. I wanted to make just a quick comment, and I don't know if the document can be changed at all before it goes to print or whatever, but it was on page 23, and there's a reference to our first heritage listed building that is, oh God, I'll just get back so I can read it properly. There's a lot of pages, 242 pages, folks, so it's really good midnight reading. Page 23, and it's not easy to navigate on an iPad, but I'll get there.
So it might be 23.
The
The actual report's 211 pages. It's probably page 23.
23 of the thing. Oh, it's very cool. Duggan's building. Yeah, and it says, oh, thank you, Charlotte. It says New Zealand's first rainbow heritage listing, Duggan's building at 23 Widgeway Street, the site of Mayor Mackey's office that made headlines in 1920, was not only added to the New Zealand Heritage List for Category 1 historic place, but is New Zealand's first rainbow heritage listing. A significant event. I would really like, though, that former councillor James Barron should probably be mentioned there, because he was one that I believe really led that listing, and without that reference it appears that council's done all that, and I'm sure our council office, heritage officer, contributed, but if it could be acknowledged, and obviously James would need to approve what was listed there. The CBD maintenance, there's a section in there also, and it refers to, again, not meeting our targets, and the reasoning behind that was put in as we don't know why we haven't met the targets. Perhaps it's because we didn't have the gardens bed planted for a time, And I just feel that if we actually don't have evidence of why something hasn't met the target, we shouldn't be guessing, because I think it's why are we doing that? So I think it's very weak reasoning, and it can often, I think it can lead to non-evidence-based decision-making in the future. Say, oh, it's okay, we were just late in the planting, so we don't actually have to worry, when in fact I think there are clear signals there that we have to keep up our maintenance. Other than that, really good report. Thank you very much, folks, and that's it.
Right. Well, thank you, everyone, for those comments, and I think, look, this is a 211-page annual report, as I said, and I can only imagine the amount of work that's gone into this. We just lands on our doorstep, so to speak, and so thank you once again for those that were involved in this. My comment is that I think, yes, the requirements of annual reports these days, and we put a submission into LGNZ, a remit, and to really talk about the increased burden on councils. And saying that and that's one side of it, and I get that, and I think we all get that, there are extra requirements and financial burden. And saying that, the other side of it is we're trying to be a more transparent, open, and visible council. And outside of the front page of this, which is full of colour, this is a lot of depth of information in this report. That if anyone wondered what we were doing or interested to get past the glossy front page, they would understand that council do a huge amount in our community, and it impacts pretty much across all the well-beings, and also we've got nothing to hide as well. Everything that we do as council in partnership with our community is in here for all to see, and I think that's part of a democracy that people want to be proud of, but also to have confidence in. This document does just that. So I just want to applaud all those involved to show that this is not just a document in itself, this is who we are. This is what we do, what we've done, and the community should be proud of what our council do and our council officers do, often without wanting to be noticed. So we're noticing what you've done today, so thank you. All right, so
speaking of the environment, I've just added with minor amendment based on the comment of Deputy
so I'll just get
highlight
approval
to
from
make
the.
sure that movement secondary.
So we've just made, so this is for Councillor Peter Ofscombe and Councillor Jenny Duncan, mover and seconder. We've just made added an addition there with minor amendments to item A. Are you happy with that wording? This is in reference to Deputy Mayor Helen Craig's reference to James Barron's contribution. Yep. Okay with that? All right. Okay, no further comments. I'll put the motion on the screen that the Council A adopts the annual report for the year ended 30 June 2023 with minor amendment. So I guess it is with minor amendments. And B provides an audit letter of representation to Audit New Zealand. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Great work. No, it was just a delayed. It was a delayed aye. I didn't hear a.
It was in favour. Apologies. Yes, delayed.
Sorry, I didn't realise you were there, Councillor, so we need to record that Michael was there.
Oh, business is a start, Andrew.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm going to close the meeting with a karakia. So, kia tau, kia tātou katoa, te atawhai o tō tātou ariki i a ihu kara iti, me te aroha o te atua, me te wiwina tahitanga ki te wairua tapu, ake, amene. All right, thank you everyone for your time.